The Dallas Cowboys have officially wrapped up their minicamp, and with it comes a renewed wave of hope and plenty of skepticism as the team looks to rebound from what can only be described as a deeply disappointing season. The Cowboys ended their campaign with a 7-10 record, landing them in third place in the NFC East, a position that simply doesn't align with the lofty expectations consistently attached to America's team. Following that rough year, Jerry Jones made the type of bold move fans have come to expect. He parted ways with head coach Mike McCarthy and handed the reins to Brian Schottenheimer. It wasn't the flashiest hire. In fact, it drew plenty of criticism when announced. But Schottenheimer hasn't backed down. From the moment he took over, he set the tone with one clear message: he's here to win. In one of his early pressers, Schottenheimer made it plain and simple: we're going to win. And when we do, other teams are going to start poaching this coaching staff because of our success. That's the type of energy fans want to hear, but can he deliver? And then there's Dak Prescott. Dak stood before the media and delivered a surprisingly candid moment. He said his desire to win isn't about his legacy, it's about his mental peace. I want to win a championship for this team, for myself, and honestly, for my sanity, he said. It was an unfiltered human moment, one that gave a glimpse into the pressure cooker environment of being the Cowboys quarterback. That's a heavy burden to carry, especially when the national conversation around you is that you've underperformed. Analyst Stephen A. Smith had a lot to say about that moment. For once, he admitted he liked what he heard from both Schottenheimer and Prescott. But it didn't stop him from bringing the fire, as usual. According to him, this Cowboys team is still a long shot, even for a wildcard spot. Best case scenario? They sneak into the playoffs and maybe, just maybe, compete for 3 quarters before being eliminated. That's how far the expectations have dropped. Why? Because Dallas lacks something that every true contender has: an edge. Stephen A. broke it down perfectly. The Eagles have Howie Roseman, a front office genius who knows how to maximize every corner of the salary cap. The Chiefs have Mahomes and Reed, arguably the best coach QB duo in the game. The Warriors had their three-point revolution. Great teams possess a defining trait that puts them ahead of the pack. Dallas, not so much. They're okay at drafting, but far from elite. They're tied up financially. Their quarterback? Good, not great. They have solid players, but no defining characteristic that strikes fear into opponents. And while Prescott played only 8 games last season, giving the Cowboys some leeway, the questions around his ability to deliver when it matters most have been consistent for nearly a decade. In Stephen A. view, Dak has become one of the most scripted athletes in all of sports. You could play an interview from 2018 or 2020, and it would sound the exact same as today, he said. He criticized Dak for lacking genuine accountability, never directly admitting his playoff performances haven't been enough, never owning up to the idea that maybe he hasn't played to the standard Dallas fans expect and deserve, that he got paid big but hasn't delivered big moments in return. And it's not just about Prescott's words, it's about results. In 10 years, he's won 2 playoff games. That's not elite. That's not acceptable for a team with this kind of spotlight. Meanwhile, other quarterbacks, whether it's Brady, Mahomes, or even someone like Stafford, have delivered in crunch time. Dak, in comparison, feels like he's always just on the edge of being elite without ever breaking through. Sure, Dallas has made some upgrades. Their offense will be better. They've got CeeDee Lamb, they've got Pickens now, and Dak will be healthy. But is that enough? The NFC East isn't getting any easier. Philadelphia is still a powerhouse, and while Washington might not be elite, they're unpredictable and could surprise. Even the Giants, for all the slander, are attempting to climb back into contention. Joe, one of the analysts, said he expects Dallas to finish third again. He even suggested that if 3 teams from the NFC East don't make the playoffs, the Cowboys won't be among them. That's a tough pill to swallow for a franchise whose fans believe every year could be the year. Molly tried to play devil's advocate and argue that maybe we're being too hard on Dak, that most quarterbacks are media-trained and speak in cliches. But Stephen A. wasn't buying it. He wanted more from Dak. He wanted honesty. He wanted humility. He wanted him to look into the camera and say, "I haven't been good enough. I need to be better. I've failed in the playoffs. I've made it harder for my team to win with the size of my contract." He wanted Dak to be real. And this brings us back to the core issue. It's not that Dak is terrible. It's not that the Cowboys are devoid of talent. It's that they're stuck in this endless cycle of hype, followed by collapse, followed by denial. And fans and critics are tired of it. And still, even with all the criticism, there's this dream scenario. That somehow, they finish second in the division. Maybe even first. That they go on a run. Maybe surprise everyone. And if that happens, if they win the NFC East or make a run to the NFC Championship, then yes, we'll give them their flowers. But until then, expectations stay low. Not because people want to hate on Dallas, but because the results demand it. Stephen A. joked that if Dallas ever does win a Super Bowl, he wants to be there at the parade, not because he's a fan, but because it would be such a rare, surreal moment. He and Molly on the float, eggs flying at them, but soaking it all in. In the end, all eyes are on Dak and Schottenheimer. This year feels like a final audition, not just for their jobs, but for their legitimacy. If they make it to the postseason and fizzle out again, it's back to the drawing board. But if they shock the world, it might just be the most satisfying redemption arc in football. So will this be another year of mediocrity and empty promises? Or will the Cowboys finally break free from the cycle and do something special? We'll find out soon enough. And while fans cling to the hope that this might be the year something finally clicks, history has not been kind to that belief. This team has, time and again, found ways to fall short when it matters most. Whether it's penalties, mental lapses, questionable coaching decisions, or simply being outplayed, the Cowboys have developed a reputation for being consistently inconsistent. Brian Schottenheimer's arrival may bring fresh ideas, but turning the ship around requires more than just a new voice. It takes grit, chemistry, leadership, and perhaps most importantly, accountability. And that's exactly what critics like Stephen A. Smith argue the team has lacked for years. Dak Prescott, for all his professionalism, has never gone beyond 2 playoff wins in a decade-long career. And yet, year after year, he stands before the cameras with the same preseason promises, words that sound polished but rarely carry the weight of results. It's not about slamming Prescott as a person. It's about the brutal truth that in the NFL, where legacies are made and broken by rings and playoff performances, the Cowboys haven't come close to delivering on the expectations that come with their brand and payroll. So here we are again, standing on the edge of another NFL season, and the Dallas Cowboys find themselves at the familiar crossroads of hope and harsh reality. There's no denying they have talent, and no question that if things click, if the offense takes off, if Dak stays healthy, if Schottenheimer's system takes root, this team could be dangerous. But the margins are razor thin. In a stacked NFC East, they can't afford slow starts or late-season stumbles. And if they fall flat once more, this could be the final chapter for this iteration of the Cowboys core. That's why the pressure is mounting not just on the field, but off it too. Prescott, Schottenheimer, Jerry Jones. They're all under the microscope. No one is expecting miracles, but fans want effort, want change, want something real. And if that means the Cowboys sneak into the playoffs and actually make some noise for once, even the harshest critics will tip their hats. But if it's the same old narrative flash early, fade late, then the cycle of disappointment will only deepen. One thing's for sure, the entire football world will be watching, waiting to see if Dallas finally steps up, or once again, stumbles under the weight of its own expectations.